10% is pretty crazy. Like some of these professional athletes, to put it in context, some like physically peak people, professional athletes, whatever. Like some of them are like 5 to 7%.
Maybe like 15. Josh Allen might be like
Well,
15% body fat.
okay, but Josh Allen is definitely not. Josh Allen is a freak human, but he's not like when I'm talking like peak physical like athlete. I'm thinking like, um, I don't know, pick like Usain Bolt or something. That might not even be a great comparison. Josh Allen is a lot of things, but he's not like a very lean individual. But when I say like ultimately lean, right? Dude, like bodybuilders and stuff are what in the 3% range or some crazy shit. Like
Yeah, sub 5% compete at like
too lean.
3.
You're too lean. It's like bad for
Literally
you.
killing your body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's terrible.
literally killing your body.
But like 10% is actually way leaner than people think it is. Like what would like the
You ask
average?
women what they like, they say, and not like you ask them like what percentage you like. When you show them a photograph of a gradient of men's physiques,
Mhm.
they tend to like between, it's like 12 to 15%, sometimes 10%, but everybody holds weight different. So like if you're a little bigger, you probably got to be a little leaner. If you're a little smaller, you can probably be a little a little fluffier. But yeah, 10% isn't. I mean,
Where
even what women want, like only one fifth of men have. I'm 13% body fat at 5'11", and I weigh 170 pounds, 165 to 170. I
Mhm.
fluctuate. Of 50, I'm 15 to 13 to 17% body fat, probably somewhere in there. I'd have to squeeze all my muscles and shit and really measure to know, but
um I'm like low 20s. It's like 10 is pretty like I think people don't understand. Like the average like person is probably wildly obese. Like
1/3 of America is obese, which is like, I think it's like 2/3 over your body weight or something. But yeah, to your point about like even an like if I was like 10% body fat, I would look way more jacked. You know what I mean? Especially at my weight, I'd be so lean. You'd like see like the muscles in my face and shit if I was leaner. But
10's
I think
pretty good.
I think my face kind of squared out a little bit since I put on weight. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Trying to get
Um
that 185 by summer. 180, 185 by summer. Or
that's
definitely
not
by my birthday within a year. I can do it
yeah.
by next summer, 185.
Would you say you are now? 160 something?
170. This time last year, I was the opposite. I was 155 to 160. So within the last year, I've put on 7 to 10 pounds of lean mass relative to my
Mhm.
body size. Like, and by lean mass, I mean it hasn't gone away. Like I haven't lost. Like even when I fluctuated a pound or two over the grand scheme of the last year, I've put on consistent body weight and it hasn't disappeared. So, and my fat relatively, I've gotten a little leaner, with like I haven't worked out since around Christmas time, just with some things going on. But even that, I've allowed my body to rest, and I feel like I got a little stronger just from hypertrophy, allowing myself to rest.
Um
Plus, I work a manual day job, David, which is always the ace in the hole to stay fit.
it yeah, it is. It's really tough when you're working like kind of an office gig.
I honestly, those things they show for old people, the foot workout things are dorky, but I would get one of those if I worked in an office. I would just do that all day or get a standing desk. I talked to my boss. I would talk to the job about standing desk, treadmill desk.
What is the foot? What is this?
It's one of those. It's just basically like a foot, like a stair stepper for your feet, but it goes
Really?
under your desk. Yeah, I
While you
would
like
just get.
just sit?
So if you sit 8 hours a day, you can just turn that thing on, and you're going to be doing stairs while you're sitting there. Now, that's not full body cardio, but to move I mean, you'll get jacked. Bare
Sure.
minimum, your calves are gonna be fucking jacked, but you're moving your body.
Yeah,
The other thing I told my
it's
mom
not as
was,
intense, but it's also for a way longer period of time.
well, yeah, which is arguably more intense, right?
Sure.
Like endurance is endurance, right?
Sure.
And And especially if a guy like you, if you're doing that all day at work, or let's say a third of your day is better than zero, right? And then you're going home and heavy weight training, you don't even got to hit cardio anymore because you're doing cardio at work.
Yeah.
I told my mom, and I would tell you too, like I would get like 2 to 5 pound dumbbells. And when you got 10 minutes, just fucking, they don't even got to be perfect form. Just do it until your forearms burn, put them down. And then next hour, do the same thing. And I would do that every hour. I would do that. Because you could pop out like probably 50 dumbbell curls in like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and you'll be just go. You don't even got to count them. Just go until you literally can't lift your fucking arms. Put them down. Next hour, do the same exact thing. If you do that every day for a year, you will be fucking jacked. You will be jacked. And if you want a full body workout, just go to push-ups.
But
Every
the
every
one
hour, take 2 minutes. If your boss comes in and sees you doing push-ups and sit-ups, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck you doing?" Be like, "I'm staying healthy." They're like, all right, dude, whatever you gotta do. They're not gonna give a fuck because you're gonna be gassed out in 1 minute. You can't do push-ups nonstop. I can't do a nonstop push-ups for a minute as fast as I can. I get to like 30 push-ups, I'm burnt. So do that 1 minute every hour, every day you work. You don't even gotta take the weekends off, and you will be fucking jacked. You don't even gotta do sit-ups. You will be fucking jacked. You do the stair stepper thing, the dumbbell thing, and the push-up thing. If you do that, you take the 5 minutes once a day or once every other hour, you will be fucking jacked.
I'm I'm actually gonna ask my friend if he can do this on his channel, but the one problem about people, so we're talking about like the average everyday person, right? Like what's like the number one like New Year's resolution? I'm gonna get
To
in
lose
shape,
weight,
right?
get
Yeah,
in better shape.
always, and it never falls. Like no one ever follows through with it.
Because they don't think of shit like that, dude. Like I'm literally, look, it's not you're not going to be a supermodel. I'm not gonna lie to you. To be a supermodel, you got to work like a supermodel. They go to the gym 5 hours a fucking day. If you want to, go ahead. But what I'm telling you is if you do this for 2 or 3 years, by year four, you're going to be so relatively fit that when you go to the gym, you're going to be able to deadlift 150. You're going to be able to do 40-pound dumbbell curls. You're going to be able to bench press 50 pounds because you've taken 3 years of, it seems like very light work, but when your body's not used to moving like that and you start applying that shit, your body will adapt very quickly. My mom, her thumbs didn't work.
Hmm.
Like she was having arthritis in her thumbs. Now she's not very active and she types all the time. She doesn't take care of herself and some of her diet isn't the best. Not a judgment, it's just what it is. And I told her, I said, Mom, you should get one of those fucking massage balls. And anytime your hands hurt, massage that thing. So we got her a big stick of that fucking butter that's like real stretchy. And she sits there and kneads it like a cat, dude. And her hands don't hurt anymore. And I told her you can just get a couple for work, get a couple hard stress balls, and just squeeze the fuck out of them. And it's just physical therapy. But if she were to go to a doctor, you know what a doctor would tell her? Oh, you need cortisol shots. You're gonna have to go on medication. I told her to buy I literally got it for her at Five Below. I got her a brick of cheese at Five Below. $5. If the thing breaks, you buy another one for $5. Like, I think I should open up a fucking physical therapy place, get a
Well,
bullshit ass certificate because these doctors, like, there's no way that they give a fuck about you if they're telling you that you would need. I don't actually know if they would tell you that, but I'm not assuming them to tell you that. They would tell you to go to a physical therapist, you know what I mean, and spend $50 a session. I gave my mom a $5 brick of cheese and it's not as good, but for the average everyday person that wants immediate results, that doesn't want to spend extra money because you don't have it or extra time, or you don't want to have this crazy extra schedule and do extra, you still want to watch fucking Netflix and be lazy, buy the stair stepper, get the fucking mash thing, do dumbbells while you watch fucking the football games. Like there was a dude, he did push-ups and sit-ups during commercials when he would watch TV
mhm.
for a whole year, got fucking jacked from push-ups
Well,
and sit-ups during
he-
television.
here's where I was going with this though. Is like the average person is so wildly out of shape that if they literally just did like anything, it would be a massive improvement. But the problem is, I think what happens is people like kind of go too hard and they dive headfirst into things, and they'll be watching like people who are already ripped, like get into these like really minute details and start talking about.
Care about the stretching
hypertrophy and
and
like
the
the
angle,
and like,
perfect
well,
form.
maybe it's better to walk after you lift weights and not
Mhm.
before,
Gotta get your
and
creatine in, David, and your pre-work.
yeah, and we're talking about whey and protein and like all this nerdy shit that
Straight
doesn't
from the
matter
boys.
because they're in the peak physical where they're trying to squeeze every little bit out of themselves.
Yeah,
You're
they
not
have to
there.
maximize.
You're not there. Get up and move, eat less. Like,
Mm-mm.
make it simple until you get there. And then when you get there, then you can start talking about creatine and protein and all the stupid shit. But you're
Me
nowhere near
personally,
ready for that.
I wouldn't care about creatine. Like, the only reason I started taking it was it has shows neurological benefits for your brain. Because I'm not even at somebody that works out or is capable, or like I'm more fit than the average person. I don't even need creatine. I put on muscle fine. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The reason I started taking it was like the neurological benefits, plus the muscle and the body shit, sure. But it literally makes your brain. It's short of like caffeine,
Well,
creatine,
you're
caffeine is
yeah,
same molecule somewhere.
yeah,
But yeah, dude, those simple things, I think, like, honestly, you can get one of those stair tread things for like $30, $50 for a nice one. You know what I mean? And then dumbbells are what, fucking $10 a piece. You don't even need that's cheaper than gym membership. 2 months of gym membership right there. I
sure.
just saved you. You can take them home with you.
I don't know. Like, just when you're so wildly out of shape, just eat less,
It,
move more, and then let's figure it out later. But like, do something now because right now it's don't wait, don't wait and let it get worse. Just go.
well, I agree with you, Dave. Like, I know why people try to go and like do all this research, because I've done that. Do that. I still do that. I have done that. I get question, but I still go and perform, and like it's easier for me because I'm fit already, right? So when I get new
Mhm.
information, it's like I can utilize this immediately. But somebody that can't see their dick isn't going to be able to fucking care about the perfect angle for dumbbells because they can't even do 20-pound dumbbells yet.
Right.
So, but to your point,
The information's fine. It's just the fact that
yeah,
people are worried about stupid shit.
people don't want to
That
be, but you don't want to look like a fool, which is
sure.
like, it makes sense. But this goes back to like Alex Hermosi and all the rich people and all the success stuff we always talk, the mindset thing. It's like, Carl Jung even said that the precursor for the savior, which would be like a Jesus archetype, is the fool, which would be like the jester, because you have to look like an idiot before you save everybody. Because only the person that's willing to speak out and step out or put their neck out for people will actually be able to yield the result, because they are putting they're basically pointing out the thing that nobody else is willing to or able to see. So it makes sense that you don't want to be embarrassed and look like a
Mhm.
fool, but it's embarrassed and looking like a fool that will save you in a weird way. Humans are so wired. We don't need to worry about getting murdered or starving. So we worry about looking stupid because we might starve or get murdered, but that won't happen. We're creatures of habit, right, Dave?
Um, the real reason for the show, Ryan.
Clearly talk about working out, Dave.
We're not really like we're not a fitness podcast.
Yet, David. That will be the 27 variant of the show.
it does. Listen, it does. It's like in a way, as much as all the stuff we talk about is super important. In a way, to like the average everyday person, it would be more beneficial to go to a gym than to worry about the Epstein files.
It's more important for you to go to the gym than to spend time listening to Dave and I on the podcast. 100%. It's actually, I've heard it put too that the people that care the most about politics that aren't at the top have the shittiest lives. And it's basically like you're offloading, you're putting all of your time and attention and shit that doesn't affect you, right? It's like the furthest thing from you care about. And I related to that for a while. And that's actually why I think the show has turned in a way. It's become more about culture. It's become more about Dave and I personally, not necessarily about the current events, though we do talk about them. They're wrapped into it. It's become more of like it's kind of Dave, I feel like not like a college, but I feel like we have like our own little, it's like a tribe for lack of a better word, but I think it's more like that type of podcast more so than like a politics show now. We say it's a culture show because
Mhm.
everything's downstream from culture, which is true. But it's just it to your point, Dave. It is weird because the most important thing you can do is like be physically fit and be as financially stable as you can. Like, those are the only things you can do to prevent what we're talking about on this program in general, even the pedophile stuff, even the COVID lies. The best thing you can do is stay as fit as possible and be as wealthy as possible and be as successful and healthy and like, it's weird how they are opposite of each other, but they are. If more people were healthy and successful, there'd be less global pedophilia rings. I guarantee you. Which is why we say this shit's not accidental. It's a
Well,
plan.
I would tell you, maybe, um, but there's certainly, I can tell you this for without a doubt, 100% for a fact, without a doubt. OnlyFans would not exist. Like if the average male was not 40% body fat, but like 18%, like, you know what I
Half.
mean?
Right,
Right.
yeah.
Like
And
he's
made
not
20% more money.
sure. He's no longer paying sevens online. Like it's just not happening because he's gonna just go get sixes in real life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's like why would I? But the average person who's paying these girls is not they're just not able to get that caliber. That's like the whole point, right? Like you can't on your own get that caliber of girl, so you're just gonna like cheat code it, right? The old I
Which
don't
is
know.
what money does. Money, right, is the cheat
I
code.
used to play Sims right way back in the day, and there was the old Rosebud cheat code, which would give you like shitloads of
Yeah.
money. So
Rosebud. Oh, fuck,
it's the
dude.
but that's what it is. It's the Rosebud cheat code, right? You can't actually get an attractive girl in real life because you're wildly fat and unsuccessful, and that's realistically that's what they're looking for, right? Let's be realistic. So what do? You just Rosebud cheat code, and you just go buy it online, and you pretend it's the real thing. And that same person would be so much better off if he spent the money on OnlyFans to go to a gym and invest in some skill or knowledge so he could.
Dude, even fashion, just buy some clothes. You may not even need to go to the gym. A girl may like you a little fluffy because she can control you. At least you're getting laid and
There,
what I mean?
there
Just
are
being
a
with
lot of
it.
girls who say they do
Yeah.
like the thicker
Yeah,
guys.
well, I mean, it is harder to beat up a fat person when you're smaller than him. If he's 6'2" and 230, dude, you're 6'2" and 230. It don't matter your BMI. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, now granted, they want the guy 8% body fat at 230. Obviously, they want the fucking Tyrone, but like,
Dude, that's fucking
it
crazy.
it
I don't
exists,
think
dude.
people understand what this. Well, 100%, but I just don't think
Yeah, it's
people
just
understand what
gnarly.
that looks like.
I mean, John Cena's got to be when he at his prime. He had to be. He's over two. He had to be two
Oh God,
something.
yeah, yeah.
But I think he was like 5'9", 5'10", sub 6 feet, something like that, maybe a little over 6 feet, but lean. Like he was had to be sub 10, definitely sub 15. He wasn't 15% body fat. And he was just fucking literally like a action figure body. But yeah, to just round out the whole thing, Dave. Yeah. Just fucking buy clothes even. Just buy cologne. You might just need cologne and to wash your balls.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's kind
I
of
don't.
odd about like, don't get me wrong, I've had my struggles in dating like anybody else. But like I even some of the red pill shit, I've ran into gold digging bitches like everybody else. But dude, it's like 10, it's like 1 out of 20.
Well, the thing is, we're not even talking about like.
It might be 1 out of 10. It might be 1 out of 5 depending on where you go around here. Like if you're at the fucking Bills game, most of those women care about money because
Then
they're
they get to go to the Bills game.
well, they get to go to the Bills game, but they like probably either they sucked a dick to get there or they're trying to suck dick while they're there. Like they either bought their ticket or they had their ticket bought. Like they're expecting a lifestyle. Fine. Like you don't got to be rich to buy Bills tickets, but like like depending on where you go, man. I don't understand the red pill. The red pill shit seemed more self fulfilling prophecy for people.
Do you mean the ultimate extremes of that? Like perfect
The more
example.
red pill
Tate
people,
had
the
a post
more
the other day
people
where he
that
is like, it was something along the lines of like, $1 million is nothing. That's peasant stuff. You need to have $100 million in the bank or something. Like,
it like devalues like a million. You're saying?
no, well, he basically said 1 million is nothing. You need to have 100 million or whatever. But
Uh
like, I think to your point though, like the red pill stuff, like sometimes if you go too extreme with it, um, then you almost lose the point. Like when we're
Well,
talking about like dating dynamics, right? And who women who want people who provide. Yes, having $100 million in the bank is impressive, but that doesn't mean like the average person, if he just has a decent salary, like he's not going to be able to provide for another average person, right? Like you could still provide for a family on way less than $100 million. So like you can go to the extremes, and that's fine, but it's not necessarily necessary, and it almost turns people off because then it's like too extreme. Like most people are can't even fathom what $100 million is like.
well, I also think what we're seeing, which is something that I've heard from the red pill. Actually, I heard the term Pareto distribution, right? Where the top 10 of 1% takes the 1/10 of 1%, which takes the 1/10 of 1%. It goes with planets and income and beauty. And it's just like, that's why there's only 5,000 professional athletes, right? Because it's just the 1/10 of 1% on steroids and sometimes literally. But like, my point in saying that is like, dude, it seemed like as more people consume red pill, women got more red pilled. Not that they actually got red pilled, but they became more like the red pill philosophy. So I don't know if that's just like my mind attracting that people, right? Because that's the other side of that, or if it's actually just all of that shit in society literally just polluted over. Because I don't necessarily think it's true. I've had sisters, you know what I mean? I have aunts and uncles. I watched all of them date my whole life. None of them gave a fuck about money. Not one of them gave a fuck about money, and we all said we wanted to not be broke. But they dated poor people. They dated this, you know what I mean? And I just wonder if that, to Tate's point here about the million to 100 million, like if you take these extremes, if it's the same thing that it's only 1%, right? Because the big thing in the red pill was that they said that all these girls think they're special. Well, in reality, they kind of are special. Like the hottest girl in your town is still the hottest girl in your town. You know what I mean? Like if she is out of a million people, she's the most beautiful woman out of a million people. She is like literally she is the most beautiful woman. Now, if we take all of the women that are the one in a million beauties and put them against each other, who's the most, you know what I mean? And then you start parsing out. And to go to the point here, the thing the red pill did was it acknowledged the percentage difference in populations. And what I mean by that is the top 1% and the 99%. You got the three sixes, right? 6 feet, six figures, and a six pack, right? And then you punch it. We did the dating calculator, right? What
Mhm.
Red Pill did really good was identify that dating dynamic. What it did really bad, though, what it did really bad was put perspective to it. Because yes, you want to try to get as close as you can to the top as you can. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to. Not everybody can. Timing, life situation. Not everybody wants to. Fine. When you start sifting shit out, my point in saying that is people naturally, like we naturally have hierarchies. So like when all of these guys were saying that most women, it was most women that they seen. Now I know this has always been talked about, but I'm finishing the point here because it spills over into politics, spills over into education, spills into everything else. When we're able to self sort the way we have been through social media, right? By self sorting, it was like a popularity system, right? Or like shares or whatever the fuck metric we're using. It was self sorting. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but like it never like equalized. Like people got sorted, and then like when they got placed where they are, they're like, oh, like, all right, this is where we are. But it was like everybody that was sorted that was at the top was in the 1% like they wanted, but they forgot about the other 1%. That's the difference between Mr. Beast and fucking you and me. Now you and I could be the 1% of amateur podcasters, right? But you put us against Mr. Beast and he's the 1% of the 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. And I think just to round this out, because it reminded me of actually the Super Bowl commercial, the Super Bowl halftime show. I wonder how many percentages of Americans watched each. Because it's like in the self sort, we're forgetting why we're supposed to self sort. Like we're forgetting that the reason that you're supposed to figure out where you stand in the world is so that you know where you stand in the world, so that you can meet people that also are at your level in the world, and that we can work together in our we're not fucking cast, right, Dave? We're supposed to have a hierarchy of like competence and education, and that's why we've boiled everything down to money and bachelor's degrees. Like we're trying to like develop a system that we can all communicate. They'd be like, well, I make $100,000. Like, well, I make $100,000. Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm in construction. What do you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. Be like, oh, cool. We're on the opposite ends of the world, but we're in the same boat on this thing. And then you can develop like a relationship and build a world. And this teacher and this construction guy, and I know I'm rounding this all out, and I'm going to go back to the red pill stuff, but that's what I mean, I think, when I actually say that we need to talk history, religion, politics, and art, because what I think we're actually doing when we're talking openly is we are self sorting each other to see where we fall in that hierarchy that society makes naturally, that we make in our society, that we make at our job, or we make at the grocery store, or we make at the club, or we make wherever that is. When you go in the club, or if you're noticed or you're not noticed, or you're just the middle, or you're the egg, or you're the bartender or the bouncer, like there's all those hierarchies. It's all sifted out in like a second. We all understand it, but we can't describe it. And I think that's what I actually mean when I say we need to talk history, religion, politics, and art. I think what I'm actually doing is I am testing people's internal understandings of all these different metrics in life and trying to see where we match up to see if we're on the same level so that we can actually have a productive use of our time with it. Which is why I think I care about being a good coworker, right? So that I can focus on an income, because I'm trying. That's why I want to be around those type of people, because I want to live like them, right? I want to think like rich people or successful people. So I listen to the mindset videos. I study history so I don't repeat history, even though I'm a fucking creature of human nature, but I study that as well so I can find my own human nature, right? It's like, it's almost like you're hammering yourself out to figure out, you know, you, I've said this before. People can only meet you as far as they met themselves. And I think that's what the red pill did really good. I just don't think when we got all of the data about the SMV and the income and how many men make this and what women want, and now that all the men have the same information, don't matter if you had a grandfather or not to tell you, all of us men understand what women want now. We all understand men and women dating dynamics in a way that never. We all understand Tinder now. We all understand it, even if we can't describe it. Now that we all understand it and we have all the data, we don't know what to do with it. And I don't think anybody's actually, I think I'm the first person to conceptualize the main fault of red pill. It wasn't getting the information. It wasn't, now the misogyny, obviously. I'm not saying anything about that. That is a natural byproduct, because once we got the data, it was like once we made the nuke, we're like, what else do we do with it but drop bombs? It's like, well, we could power cities. It's like, no, but we built a bomb. Like red pill, it built the bomb, it didn't build the energy system. So it was like when it got all the data, the only thing it could do was ruin relationships, because it has all of this data and it has no reason to have it. Nobody was like, dude, the reason we have this is to help men and women understand where you fall in 300 million people, because you're not all going to date fucking a football player. You're not going to all marry a football player. You're not all going to marry a celebrity. You're not all going to marry a guy that makes six figures. You're going to have to, somebody settles, if we call it settling. You're not settling if you're on their level, right? Like that's the whole
Right.
idea
Well,
of,
that's the one thing I almost
even though
don't
levels don't
believe.
exist.
I almost don't believe in the like idea of settling. And
Yeah,
what I
you go
what I
after what
mean
you
is
want
like,
or you get what you deal
yeah.
with,
Well,
like,
it's
right?
right. It's like it's not settling because like what you're doing is the idea of
It's the
settling.
self-sorting.
Sure, right. Like the idea that like what people think of when they think of settling is like she could do better or he could do better, but they didn't. Like they actively made a choice to do worse than they could. And that's not really what happens, I would say, in any case that I've ever seen. Like it's always people that are with like we could talk about like people who are like maybe slightly out of somebody's league or whatever, but we're not talking about like elite top tier people, dating threes. Like
Like, it makes sense. It at least makes sense. It's not like a fucking,
right.
a Sunday school teacher is dating Jeff Bezos.
Right.
Right.
Well, and some of that can be a little different too because now you start getting into the male female dynamics too, where some of that is a little different. Like Jeff
Right,
Bezos
but we
dating a
know that.
waitress almost makes sense because it's like what's he gonna get out of it? You know what I mean?
But this is
It's
what I mean. Red Pill made it sound like all women were trying to be the woman trying to date Jeff Bezos. Now, in theory, would they like to date Jeff Bezos and have that life? Like, if we're just being men, we all think that, but it doesn't happen. And women know that they don't want to die alone. They can barely fucking shovel and take the garbage out. You know what I mean?
Captain
This is like
Football
some
showed
shit.
everyone how to shovel,
Dude,
right?
they barely this is what's crazy, like, even for myself, now that I'm older, I understand different, but it's like, even at the time, we get so, like, bitter because 'cause you've been burned by a bitch once or twice, you're like, "You fucking horse," but dude, they can't even shovel. They can barely shovel and take the garbage out every day, and you think they wanna do that for 50 fucking years because they're saving themselves for a rich guy, you know? Now, I've heard plenty of stories of women burning men, but a lot of the time I do Dave and I, we always talk about this, it's a lot of times the guy's fault. A lot of times. A lot of the times I've been in bad stuff is fucking probably my fault. But dude, once we got the info, we didn't know what to do with it. We all understand it. We all like just it's like the pedophile thing. I made 3 jokes today to strangers about pedophilia and them fucking kids on an island. And they all went, ah! It's like, yeah, what are we doing about it? Like, we all know your fucking kid's on an island. We all know who was there. We all see you defending. I heard Joe Rogan's moving the goalpost that these girls weren't underage. Some of them were 17 and 18. Wink, wink. Like, I
Fuentes
heard,
made this case, right?
yeah.
Where I know where he was going with it. It just seems so bad in the clips, right? Because again, that's the whole point of making clips, right? Is you take the entire conversation out of context. But like Fuentes has this clip that's circulating where it's like Epstein wasn't a pedophile. Most of these girls were 14 to 17, right? And like everyone is taking it to mean that Fuentes thinks sleeping with 14-year-olds is okay, and that's not at all what he was pointing to.
Yeah,
What
I
he
don't
was
think this is a context thing, David. I don't think we lack context anymore. I just think people cannot hold another person's opinion anymore. I truly think, I've never been this type of person, but are people like, we agree to disagree?
sure.
Like, you're reserved to your own opinion. We don't even fucking try to have that anymore. And I'm guilty of this too. We just try to demolish people into like, you will yield to what the fuck I believe. It don't matter anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
Dude, look at the ice shit.
Well, I think
Like,
I mean, there's people who maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, but there's like plenty of people who agree with each other and disagree with other people. Like I don't.
I'm saying the people that are disagreeing,
Yeah.
like the people that are actually disagreeing. I'm not
Well,
saying like I'm saying the actual disagreements. The reason it's not because of lack of context is what I'm saying. People are misconstruing Nick Fuentes's statement not because of lack of context. It's because they cannot hold both of those things in their head
let
and
me
bounce those ideas off each other. Or not that we should with this particular
the
instance, but it's something I've noticed in everyday fucking life that it's like, I can have my opinion, you can have yours, and we can discuss these things in the middle. But I don't think people can do that really.
the people who are sharing this clip to make it sound bad are doing so maliciously. The average person who
To
sees
spread
it,
that.
right?
Right.
The average person who sees it without context, those are the people who are missing the context.
I understand though. I'm sorry.
Um, and the entire point he was making is that it was just like a definition of what is pedophilia, right? We kind of broke into this a
Just
little bit.
before puberty, technically, right?
Well, that's
Pre-puberty.
100% what he was saying. He's like, these are 14 to 17-year-old. They're sexually mature. This isn't pedophilia. It's gross. It's creepy. It's disgusting, but it's not pedophilia.
It's
Um,
honestly probably look. It's probably worse.
well, and
I'm
all
not
he
gonna
said.
fucking raid the scale here, but it's probably worse.
Oh, it's guaranteed worse. We're going to talk about
That's
that.
where like the whole rape and incest abortion problems come from. It's not from 9-year-olds.
But
You know?
but really, that was the whole
It's so fucked up, dude.
that was the whole
The
point
world
he
is a
was making.
crazy place.
No, there's some pretty crazy shit inside some of these files. That, of course, I guess
Dude, the pizza. Are we gonna get into code names?
we're gonna get
Words
into
they
all
were
types
calling
of stuff.
kids
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
jerky. They
Because
taste like cream cheese, Dave.
yeah, we're gonna talk about all types of stuff because, and it's all gonna circulate around this because this is the big news that I saw, which is that the FBI concluded that there was in fact no sex trafficking in the Epstein files.
I thought Ghislaine Maxwell went to jail for being the handler of Jeffrey
Well,
Epstein. And
yeah, well, she was sex trafficking to Jeffrey Epstein, but Epstein was not the head of some sex trafficking ring, of course.
Dave, the
He wasn't
entire Dave, the
right
entire thing is called the Epstein
because
files.
right
Was there
because
somebody
he was
above
the
him I
user
don't
of.
is there
um,
somebody above him I don't know about, and that's why they say he's not the ringleader, David? Because I'm pretty fucking sure I've only
oh,
heard about
oh,
Jeffrey Epstein.
that's actually an interesting point. What they said specifically is that Jeffrey Epstein was not running a sex trafficking ring, not that a sex trafficking ring didn't exist. So they might have they in a very sneaky way, they're not saying there isn't a ring. They're just saying Epstein wasn't running it.
Epstein wasn't running the ring.
Yeah,
Wink.
Epstein wasn't running it. I mean, there was a ring and he was a part of it. He wasn't running the ring. He was just in the ring.
This is literally what they mean about platform and publisher. Well, technically, he wasn't running a sex trafficking. This is what they mean about allegedly, right? In the court of law, when there deals with, that's what they did. Yeah, you're right. You know what? You probably are right, FBI. Jeffrey Epstein was not the head of a sex trafficking ring, but he was probably involved with somebody that was.
So
Okay. Like,
basically,
I'm just going on a limb. Maybe Ghislaine Maxwell was the head of the sex trafficking ring and she got it. She pled guilty to handling women for Jeffrey Epstein as a plea deal. And then I'm sorry, David, go ahead. Yeah.
well, so basically,
He knew the guy familiar with the matter that knew the person, the human source that ran the sex trafficking ring.
within this like joke here, basically the FBI is admitting what we all thought the whole time was correct, which is um, Epstein was an asset for elites, higher intelligence agencies, perhaps, right? Like he wasn't
Dude,
running
they
the
may not
trafficking
even
ring.
call this a sex trafficking ring. To them, this may not be classified as a sex trafficking ring. For them, that could be an
A massage.
intelligence building. Yeah, it could be a fucking foreign asset. That could be classified as something so that when they come out and tell the public, they're technically not lying, even though it is a sex trafficking ring by definition. To regular, if Dave and I were doing this, we'd go to jail for pedophilia, sex trafficking, human trafficking. Andrew Tate can go to human trafficking for webcams, but they can have a fucking island with all the recording equipment, tens of thousands of hours, millions of pages of documents about a guy that was not in charge of the sex trafficking ring, even though the fucking building was owned by him, even though they fucking raped women there. Not a sex trafficking ring at all. Gotcha. Because it may be just like Trump's Mar-a-Lago is now considered a cemetery some fucking magical way, even though you play golf there and sleep there. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Um,
Like I said, I've said this since the beginning. You don't need the Epstein files. You don't need that. Ask the people that built the building. Pull the building permits. See what the place is zoned as. See if it's commercial. See if it's industrial. Start there. Get the building prints, the layouts of the building. Because somebody, if that place has a bunker, he didn't build that himself. That guy
it
didn't
has
go
its
dig a
own
fucking
temple.
hole. He didn't dig. He didn't build that shit himself. He doesn't. The guy doesn't know how to fucking do that. He doesn't know how to do that physically. So he would he hire a fucking guy that didn't speak English? There's very few fucking non-speaking English
Well,
electricians, David.
weirdly, Ryan,
Electricity is written in
maybe
English.
maybe there's no one left to ask. There was a report that he shipped like I don't remember the exact number, hundreds of gallons of sulfuric acid to the island.
So he's a
Um,
fucking chemist, huh?
well, maybe he's doing chemistry in his temple. I
Like
mean,
dissolving
he
children's
certainly wasn't
bodies.
running a sex trafficking ring, right?
Well, there's no bodies, so how can we say that he was running a sex trafficking ring if he was just dissolving them in vats of acid underneath the fucking ground?
Oh, I don't think
Pull the
that's equal
fucking
to a
blueprints
sulfuric
for the
acid.
fucking building. I want to see a map. I want to see the fucking map of the property. I want to see the property line. Like, why don't we? I don't give a fuck about your emails. For all you know, there's a fucking house under there that people are still living there. I don't trust any of these people. Am I the only crazy? We still think this is the only island. I still am I'm fucking nobody. Nobody has even looked for another island.
It's
Nobody.
the
This is
only
the only
one.
one. It's the
It's the
only
only one.
one. This
Yeah,
is the only guy,
yeah. He was the only one. That's why it's called the Epstein files.
but he's not ahead of anything, David. He's not in head
No,
of the sex trafficking ring, but it's
I
the
mean, I
only
guess
one.
technically,
Dave,
if
if
it
it's
was
the only one by definition, it's the head of a sex trafficking ring. I'm pretty
in a technicality, he was in charge of Ghislaine, and
just the one. He's
yeah,
just in
it's
charge
the
of
only
one
one,
sex
the only
trafficking
island.
ring.
Yeah, and it was
Or is
only
that the
her.
loophole, David?
It
That's
wasn't
how
a
he's not
ring.
in charge because there's more than one. So since he's not in charge of all several facilities, he's only like a sub leader of a sex
No,
trafficking ring.
it
He's a
well
partner of a sex trafficking
because Epstein was the only one and
CFO
Ghislaine
of a
was the
sex
other
trafficking.
one. It was really a sex trafficking line. She would just send them to him. Therefore, there is no ring, Ryan. It was just no. It's all really stupid. I have a clip from Thomas Massey, who's been working with Rokana on this, and their mission
Dude,
currently.
I want to punch every one of these people in the face. I should be able to punch an FBI agent in the face that says they're not the head of a sex trafficking ring. Be like, you released millions of files that talked about.
Well, only 3 million. It's only about half of what they have. Um, Thomas
I was
Massey's
told there's no list, but
there's
there's
no
a
list.
list.
There's no list. There's no files. It's not on her desk.
She was
Thomas
arrested for handling what?
to nobody. Thomas Massey's big motivation right now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to get some of these names unredacted because in the emails we have what they told us was, well, they're going to redact to protect victims, right? So how do they protect victims? By redacting the names of people who were probably harming the victims, I guess is the FBI's. Apparently, that's their opinion on this.
Well,
Um,
maybe the victims were actually those doing the raping. David, clearly.
it's about a 3 minute clip, but this is a little bit of what he's going through.
How much new information did you see that was unredacted, or did it look pretty similar to what we've seen publicly?
I mean, what we're after is the men who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked women to. We want those names published. We're not out to embarrass people. And the problem is we went in there hoping to see that in 302 forms. What we found out is those 302 forms were redacted before they got to the DOJ. So, but our legislation directs the FBI, which is the agency that produced those 302 forms, to also produce these documents. The Attorney General is ultimately responsible for that production. So that's why we're here at the DOJ to view these files.
Hold
But
on a
there
sec.
needs
Can you
to
pause
be
it?
more.
Okay. So the DOJ is in charge of filing the documents to begin with. But the documents that the DOJ filed were
They're in charge of releasing.
pre-redact.
They're in charge of releasing the documents.
Right. But okay. So they're in charge of releasing the documents. So the documents the DOJ received to even release
Were
were
already redacted.
already redacted.
The
So there
DA
was some would call this,
The
David,
DOJ didn't redact the files. They
compartmentalization
were
within
redacted.
compartmentalization within our government.
Yes. Now, presumably, they were redacted by whom? The FBI, I would assume.
Well, I mean, yeah, who's I thought the Department of Justice was the premier law enforcement group in the country, David. Clearly. Like the CIA, well, who's above them? Yeah, the CIA,
Well,
FBI.
it's not even really a hierarchy system, though.
Can you
There's
ask
no,
can you
like,
ask
central branch.
Gronk like who's the most powerful police like FBI? Who's more powerful, FBI, CIA, or DOJ?
Well, I think none of them, right? I think they're all
Supposed to do
separate,
different
but
things.
separate. They're separate but equal, Ryan. I think that's the.
It makes no sense. How do we have checks and balances if we're all equally
Well, because
separate?
these are all bureaucracies. They don't. The checks and balances are within the branches, which is the actual government, and then this is all made up bullshit that has existed for fucking way too long. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, the
Oh,
CIA,
you
the
mean, David,
FBI,
this
none of
is
these places are
actually the
supposed to
shadow
exist.
government. This is the shadow government and the deep state people talk about because
This
it's
is
not
the men in the
elected.
black suits that Putin referred to.
Okay, I'm just making sure we got that because Thomas Massey is a G string and he just carries it so strong that he is just like telling you basically that they are compartmentalization compartmentalizing the information before we're even able to get it, because they're trying to put roadblocks in here for either a couple reasons. One, they want it harder than it needs to be. Two, they don't want the information released. Or three, something worse.
Information given in those 302s. So I was disappointed we didn't find that. But it's also clear, just sort of as a checking their homework, that they need to do a little more homework. There are 6 men. We went in there for 2 hours. There's millions of files, right? And in a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted, who are implicated in the way that the files are presented. And finally, the documents that they put up and decided for one reason or another they had to take back down. I was hoping to see those here. They didn't appear to be in the database that we were able to search. Those ostensibly are wholly redacted files now. We know they exist. They published them for a brief period of time and pulled them back. They need to answer to us as to, do they intend to redact those files and put them back up and put them in the database so that we can search them and see if it was appropriate to take them back down from the website.
Are these men U.S. citizens? What fields do they work in? Is it finance? Is it political?
At least one is a U.S. citizen. At least one is a foreigner. And the other 3 or 4 have names. I'm not sure if they're foreign or U.S.
And which field do they work in? Is it finance, banking, political?
One is pretty high up in the foreign government.
And some are they're. One of the others is a pretty prominent individual. But I think that the point is that these 6 are just what we found in 2 hours of a review of the files that aren't redacted.
Fucking kill him, dude.
The broader issue is why so many of the files they're getting
I'm fucking telling
redacted
you, dude.
in the first place. And until that becomes unredacted, the main things that they're sending to the career attorneys to review, I don't think we're going to have full compliance with the law. Get to the question that most Americans want to know. Who were the rich and powerful people who went to this island? Did they rape underage girls? Did they know that underage girls were being paraded around? And after seeing this, I don't blame the U.S. attorneys, the assistant U.S. attorneys reviewing it. If they're reviewing redacted material, what are they supposed to do?
Their fucking job. I don't know. What do you do? Has this ever happened in human history before? Is America set on a precedent of not having actual information before we make and pass laws and make public decisions and have the court of a public opinion weigh in on things all over the globe all at the same time and telling us what we should or shouldn't do, even though we don't have the information to make the correct decision? Kill him. Kill him. Kill him.
It's kind of to your point. The compartmentalization, right, makes it impossible for any actual justice to take place, presumably by design. The attorneys are being told, right? The attorneys are being told, well, why don't you do something about it? And they're like, what do you want me to do? I'm looking at the same shit you're looking at. You want me to take redacted to court?
And can you go to your superior? I am the highest guy at this department, and attorney. This is what I was given.
Yeah, let me go to the attorney general who said the files don't exist. But then, and because the attorneys cannot prosecute anybody, now people like Ben Shapiro go to a show and they say, well, actually, there was no proof that there was a pedophile sex ring because nobody's been prosecuted on a pedophile sex ring except Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, no shit.
Jeffrey Epstein
all the
wasn't
shit they're looking at is fucking redacted.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do, Ben?
And then these same people, David, will double down and say that conspiracy theorists were wrong, and then they're going to try to discredit us when, in actuality, we gain credibility.
Well, then that's the thing. That's the thing. Ben Shapiro is running around saying, actually, there's no signs that any rich, powerful people are there. He's tied to.
I wish somebody would punch him so hard it breaks his fucking face, and he can never talk again.
There are.
I'm so tired of him spewing lies to people.
There are hundreds of thousands, quite literally millions of documents pointing to everything we said. So, like, because he can't read between the lines and he waits for the facts, now I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm reading the same documents. I'm seeing the same shit.
Dude, at what
prosecution? I'm not going to do it.
At what point do we just get sick and tired of having redacted documents in our fucking government, and that's how they're operating? I can't go down to the DMV with said redaction to get a fucking driver's license, but that's how everybody above me operates. That is
I'm gonna
rules
do
for
it. I'm
thee,
gonna do it. I'm
not
gonna
for
drive
me.
around.
I'm just gonna fucking black bar everything, have the fucking black bars over all of my photographs, over my fucking eyes like I'm a military member,
I'm gonna
and
do
see
it.
how far that gets me with the state of New York when I don't pay my fucking toll
Well,
bill. They're gonna tell me
here's
to
the
get
play.
fucked. But
Here's the play.
everybody that tells me what to do literally can just black bar fucking highlighter out pedophilia rings.
Here's
And
the play, Ryan.
and dude, the robots are coming with corporate powers. By the time I get enough people outside Washington, I'm gonna be fucking put in a corporate prison.
You need to
This is
redact your
crazy.
license, insurance, registration, and redact your license plate, and go drive around and see how that works out for you.
I'll literally just take my license plate out and put a black bar there.
You are
My
going to get
license,
dragged out of the fucking car.
I'll probably be shot.
Well, you're white, but you'll get dragged out of the car for sure.
I'm gonna be black barred, Dave. I'm obviously gonna
Oh,
be
you're
black.
gonna be black barred. That's blackface. You can't do that.
Fucking, I'm gonna get a black bar still in my face.
It was ridiculous before when Trump said it, and it's triple ridiculous now that they've been released. Here's Donald Trump on the release of the files.
Says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir? So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax.
Does anyone believe in this right now? It was.
If it's a
this
hoax,
would
release
be
all. If it's a hoax, release all the files.
elaborate hoax of all time.
Yeah, if it's a hoax, release all the files. If it's a hoax, it should be that easy to disprove. If it's a hoax, you should unblack bar things. If it's a hoax, it should be that easy to make me believe that you're not eating children and worshiping Satan while you cut their fucking feet off with a scimitar.
Well, the crazy thing about him saying it's a hoax, half the reason Kash Patel's running around and saying we can't unredact or release the rest of the files is because there's ongoing investigations. What are you investigating? The hoax? That doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? So Trump says it's a hoax. Kash Patel says we can't release the files because it's an investigation. You're investigating a Democrat hoax then. Like, that's what I'm supposed to believe. That's what you're doing currently. Everyone thinks it's a hoax, but you're still doing.
But I gotta hear, I gotta hear about Russiagate and how much money they spent wasting time and money and energy trying to finance, figure out if Russia interfered in the election. I heard about that with James Comey, that they're wasting money on Hillary. I heard all this stuff about money on all these other things, but you're not going to do that for a Democrat hoax when it comes to the child pedophilia ring.
Well, it's a hoax, right?
That's just a conspiracy, clearly. Because rich and powerful people have never fucked kids, David, in human history. It just never happens.
So
I'm going to tell you guys again for the 5th fucking time. It's not about fucking kids, okay? It's literally, if they wanted to fuck a 15-year-old, they would go to Brazil or China or Chile or Africa. They would go to a brothel. They have fucking private jets. They can fucking, it's just a fucking, it's just because they can. It's a ritual. If you don't think they're doing weird shit, if I pray before I eat my meals, what are billionaires doing with 15-year-olds, dude? Come on. I thank God when I fucking find my socks in the morning.
One of the interesting turn of events that have happened with the release of these files is the complete redemption and vindication of all the people who talked about Pizzagate 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years. It's been a while, right? I don't remember the exact date.
15.
Of course. 15. Yeah, I mean, it's a long time. And just some of these is just so crazy. But like, here's just some of these. How do we deal with the frozen white tuna? Jerky will be with me when I get to LSJ. I can come tomorrow and take care of white tuna if you'd like. I'm due back in NYC by this evening. The crazy thing is because they're using codes, they think they're being slick, but it's like it's the most obvious shit. Like this is not how people speak, right? Sorry, on second thought,
It
I'll
reminds
be
me
in
of when
tomorrow to make turkey. Prepare with white tuna.
it reminds me of when I used to hook my friends up with weed back in the day by hooking them up with a guy that I knew that sold weed, and we used to call marijuana hamburger.
I'll never forget when all the people. I'm not gonna, I guess, out everybody, but a bunch of people that we both knew would refer to it as reading the newspaper.
Yeah, newspaper's a good one. Safety meeting.
Like you gotta go read the newspaper. Yeah,
I
order
forgot about the
pizza
newspaper
for
one. That's a good. I forgot about that one.
order pizza for Bobby Slayton. I don't know who Bobby Slayton is.
The name's not important. Not in part of ongoing investigation.
Yeah, I tried. I don't like it anymore. I will call. Do you want veggie cream cheese tomorrow? I'll go look for it now. There are millions of babies. Very little good vegetable cream cheese. I mean, if and again, Ben Shapiro actually Pizzagate isn't real because there are no prosecutions. Pizzagate. You need to look in between. You have to read between the lines. You can't just wait for all the prosecutions to happen and then I'm going to wait for the facts. And once somebody is officially prosecuted, then I can talk about it. Like Tim
Well,
Dillon.
Dave, what about the secret vaccine courts that people go to? I mean, there's prosecutions, we just don't know about them.
Sounds like conspiracy theory. I don't know if I can find the clip. Tim Dillon got in trouble recently because he basically went on a show and said Trump fucked a bunch of kids. And everyone's like, well, Trump should sue him for defamation. Fuck you. No. Fuck you. I'm not going to Ben Shapiro style wait for the facts to come out. We have 3 million documents to sift through. And
I have a freedom of speech, David. It doesn't even need to be true.
what is
Does
the
not need to be true.
what is like the inference that I'm supposed to make here is that I can't publicly read through and talk about and speculate on the 3 million documents because I have to wait for the attorneys to prosecute people that they don't know the names of? What a ridiculous sentiment that is. No, you're right. Everything we're talking about here is a conspiracy theory. It's unfounded conspiracy theories, which are my favorite types of conspiracy theories. None of it has any basis in fact. We're all speaking disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation here at the Weekly Show Live, and we should really change our ways and only refer to verifiably prosecuted cases. We can't talk about vegetable cream cheese or jerky, which, by the way, is like human flesh, I think. We can't talk about them or insinuate that they are eating babies or cutting their feet off, or any of these things because none of it was prosecuted because the attorneys could not prosecute black bar. We can't talk about that.
And also, the person that they're trying to put this all on was not in the head of a sex trafficking ring, but
Correct.
he had somebody that handled sex trafficking
Well,
of people for him.
it's tough.
That is in jail for it, that originally had a list, but there was no list. And the list was on a desk that I was going to see day one from the president elect at the time who appointed the person. And then the president said that there was no list.
Well, and then, of
that's a
course,
hoax.
the director of the FBI, Cash Patel, and the deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, who's now back to podcasting and Fox News, actually.
He's the biggest.
Came out.
He may be a bigger piece of shit than Ben Shapiro. Like he literally may be a Benedict Arnold. Like I know I am hard on Ben Shapiro's because he's in our space. Dan Bongino's a visitor, and he may be a Benedict Arnold, like a legit Benedict Arnold in this space.
Well, the thing is, he, of course, him and Cash both came out, which, by the way, like the whole thing was so stupid because they came out and they said, yeah, Epstein actually, you know what, even though everything I've said in the past about it, like Epstein actually did, he did kill himself. I saw the files, right? Is that not what their defense was? And then after that is when they said, the same two people said the files actually don't exist. And
And
then
then
the
you said you've
files,
seen him. Then you said you've seen him.
you already said you saw them, but now you're saying they didn't exist. So I don't even know what you saw. But now, thanks to people like Thomas Massey, not thanks to people like Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, or Donald Trump, to be honest with you, even though Donald Trump ran on the whole thing, he had his hand forced.
He ran on the hoax, David. He ran on a hoax.
He ran
David?
on releasing the hoax, which, by the way, he would have known the whole time because he was already president, if people didn't remember that.
So did he lie to us about the Epstein files being real to get us riled up to vote for him? So he lied to gain my vote, David? Is it?
Well, here's the whole thing, though. So they go
Sorry,
on.
David. I was just trying to pin it
Well,
that even if it was a hoax, Trump lied to us on purpose to leverage your vote based on a conspiracy that he knew was a conspiracy. I'm just saying, like, even if I'm just saying if
Yeah.
we agree with his thing, he bare minimum, you fucking lied to everybody.
Sure.
Used it as a way to get elected. Arguably, if we're talking about that Washington Post article, swing an election based on the Hunter Biden laptop story,
Mhm.
Trump pushing the Epstein narrative definitely stole the election. Definitely stole the election. I guarantee you that I'll say easy, a third of the people that voted for Trump was simply on the Epstein thing, simply because of that one issue.
Possibly another. Well, maybe. Well, let's lump a third into people like us who wanted like multiple things, right? So like you could definitely say like maybe 2/3 voted for Trump because they liked his border policy and his economics, right?
And the
Maybe
economics, yes.
Maybe that's 2/3.
Yes, and no wars.
Well, I was going to group them into the other 1/3, to be honest with you. So the other 1/3 was like the Epstein people, the no new wars people. Yeah, they like the border stuff. I'm all for it. In fact, I have found that I am actually more for it than the people who are in the 2/3 who voted for him for that specifically, because I'm like, how come we didn't throw everybody out already? How come everyone is not deported already? Is that probably an unrealistic expectation? Absolutely. But we have the people who were saying they were going to deport everybody now talking about winding back the deportations, because in their judgment, places like Minneapolis is all of a sudden going to start cooperating and deporting criminal illegal aliens. Why would you think that? Why would you think the sanctuary cities are all of a sudden just going to play ball with you?
That's why we voted for the guys, because we knew that you were going to have to go in there and forcibly remove them. Because you said that we are the law and order party, and if you vote for me, I will do the thing that is hard to do. Liars. Hang.
So all of this ties back to the fact
the robots are coming. You voted to have a unilateral monopoly on the militarization of metadata.
It all ties back ultimately to the fact that Dan Bongino, who said he saw the files and then said they didn't exist, and now that they've been put out,
Dan Bon Arnold
will not tell us or show us what files he did in fact see to point to the fact that Epstein's. Did you see? We could do this real quick because the show's over at this point. Did you see two things about the Epstein alleged suicide? One,
he's alive in Israel because of Fortnite.
Okay, that's hilarious. That one's funny. But no, there was I don't know, maybe three things. One, first of all, there were.
I wouldn't doubt it if video games actually caught Epstein, for the record, because it's not something the government is thinking. Like, you're not thinking about tracing the gamer tag and geoload. Like,
sure,
you're kind of not thinking about that, to be honest. You're normally getting like cell phone data and social media data. Like, Xbox is social media. Like, there's just as much data there as there is anywhere else.
Three quick things. There is email chains that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were going back and forth to get their stories straight. which was interesting.
A little continuity of government talking points there, David.
Sure.
A little
Yeah,
compartmentalization.
you got to make sure you get your story straight. Which, of course, totally probably stopped once Dan Bongino left the FBI, and he's totally going to be honest on his podcast now with everybody.
Definitely not going to lie now. He's going to have people on. He's going to all his sources too. Well, here's my source when I worked for the government. Here he is.
Yeah, I'm the source because I was in the government and I saw the files that didn't exist. So there's
It's literally Ministry of Truth 1984.
Another one of the documents that released talked about a Epstein body double, one being placed into one car and the real Epstein being placed into another car. Other information that came out, Glenn Beck actually broke this down. There was the noose that was found at the scene was not the real noose, but they don't know where the real noose is.
Excuse me?
Yeah, let me see if I can play the clip.
So they took the noose down. That was I thought the picture of the crime scene was the crime scene. So they altered a crime scene, David.
Let me see if I can.
I don't know how any of these people have their job. Like Dave, could you imagine if I fucked somebody's electricity up this bad, their house is burned down and they're dead? I'd be like,
Oh, your house didn't have electricity, actually.
Didn't have electricity. There was no fire in the house when I was there. There was no fire when I got here.
There was no electricity. What were you wiring up? Yeah, there's no electricity at the house.
There's no fire.
Oh, that electricity. Oh, yeah, actually, all that electricity.
No
yeah. Well, I didn't think
there's no fire when I was here before, though. There's just the fire now.
Yeah, Chuck. This is fucking great.
Thomas told investigators he discovered Epstein in his cell shortly after 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, and that he ripped Epstein down from the hanging position. Investigators asked, what happened to the noose? What happened to the noose? Have you heard any of this before? What happened to the noose? Quote, I don't recall taking the noose off. I really don't. I don't recall taking the thing from around his neck. Noelle, who remained standing at the cell entrance, told investigators she saw Thomas lower Epstein to the floor, but did not see a noose around his neck. The noose Epstein allegedly used has never been identified. According to the Inspector General's report, a noose collected at the scene was later determined not to be the noose used in Epstein's death. Okay, all right. First, you had us believe that it was a paper noose. Now you're saying the paper noose that was found was not the noose that killed him. In fact, you can't find the noose, the paper noose. And this one was later added to the scene. By whom? By whom? By whom? By whom? By whom? Thomas also described Epstein as shirtless when they found him. Evidence records indicate a shirt believed to have been cut from Epstein's body was later returned from the hospital in a bag of personal stuff. New documents also show that New York City's Office of the Chief Medical Examiner reviewed the jail surveillance footage 6 days after the death as part of his investigation, but concluded the video was too blurry to identify any individuals. Hours later, the office publicly ruled Epstein's death a suicide. Wait, you don't have the murder-suicide weapon. The weapon that you do have, the noose, is not the noose that killed him. No explanation on how that arrived later at the scene. You have a blurry figure. I don't care that you can't identify. You have a blurry figure going up in the middle of the night, and you can't identify that individual, but it's a blurry figure going up, and yet you rule this a suicide. That is fascinating to me.
Fascinating. They didn't find a noose, David. The medical corridor that independently examined Jeffrey Epstein said that he was killed by strangulation. So,
well,
it's
he
not
did have
surprising.
A broken hyoid bone.
It's not surprising they didn't find a noose there because he didn't use a noose when he died. He was strangled to death by a cellmate.
Correct, but Dan Bongino, who does a podcast here on Rumble, definitely wouldn't lie to you. And he did see the files that you can't see. even though they're by law supposed to be released.
Look, people, I'll tell you this right now. You're good, right?
Yeah.
I understand that I will never be able to work within the system of government to destroy the government that is trying to destroy us. I will do everything. I guarantee you, Dave and I will do everything in our power to relay the information that we're able to and break these videos down and tell you how they're lying to you and catch them before they admit it. And I say all that to say this again. I understand that you're not able to fix the system within the system. So before you turn on Rumble or YouTube and try to get all these inside sources and Ben Shapiro, and if you want to go listen to them, and if once again, Mister, I swear too much. If you want intellectual, go listen to Jordan Peterson. You want a college lecture, you want the same shit you were getting your whole life. Go find those other people, because the system that enslaved you is not going to be able to free you. But Dave and I will. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us on Rumble for the only podcast in human history. As always, David. I appreciate you most for your time. I'm sorry I've been absent. And I will see everybody soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Dave.